What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Paradise Valley. This is episode number 7, and in today's episode, we're going to be working on the LINQ Hotel and Casino, and this is probably going to be one of my favorite resorts that I've done so far. I really love the blue hotel tower, and I'm not even halfway finished with the texture and the model, but already it's one of my favorite assets that I've done for this series and overall so far. So I'm really impressed with the way it's looking right now. I'll post a screenshot of the test model that I use just so I could get everything scaled. And then I'll post a screenshot of the version that you see on screen right now so you could get a better look at it. You can see here that the test model is really just a box. Really, that's all that the final model is too. I've just used some basic textures from textures.com. One thing that I discovered in doing this series is that doing towers is actually pretty easy because you don't have to put a whole lot of detail, and it's really just the same texture repeated over and over again, and that the majority of the work in creating towers is basically done in Photoshop. Here's the version that I have right now and that you'll see throughout this episode. Even though I'm only about halfway finished, I don't have very much to go. I would guess that I could finish it up entirely in about a couple of hours. Again, just like the Pink Diamond Casino towers, I've opted to just use one tower to fit together in-game instead of using sub-buildings to make one large building like the Oasis Casino. At the bottom of the screen, you see two buildings that make up the main casino floor of the LINQ Resort. Again, this is just a test version and a general outline of how I wanted to shape the building. These will be released as separate assets as well. And on the other hand, these were really complicated and took an enormous amount of time and detail. I spent almost an entire day working on just the two buildings with the modeling, unwrapping, and putting on some temporary textures just to get it to the point where it would at least look good on screen. For this episode, I would say that I'm still only at about 20% done. You'll see that version toward the end of this episode. You'll also see me working on parts of the Harrah Casino. I was gonna cut that part out to use in a future episode, but in thinking about it, I'm not really putting enough effort and time into the Harrah for it to be featured in its own episode. The tower that I'm using for the casino is the Presidential Towers by Harrah, but it was really too tall and towered over the rest of the hotels. In the time lapse, you see me sinking about 25% of the building underground and then covering the ground with the filler building that I use for the Oasis Casino. I also use the Oasis doors to create an entry point so that it looks like the Sims are entering the building instead of jumping off a cliff into a hole. Additionally, I created a simple concrete texture that matches the building color with the Harrah's logo on it. And I'm also using the Linotech library as the lobby for the casino. I'm not sure how much of this will change in the future, but I'm just not really inspired by the real life casino. The inside of the casino is really nice, but the outside is just really unimpressive. So let me talk about what I'm doing right now in the time lapse, or not really. But I've been working on the pool area for the LINQ. Once again, you saw me struggling with the color variations for getting only white chairs. I cut most of that out, but I had to place about 50 of them. What I've started to do, instead of deleting the colors that I don't want, for any prop, I'll just group each color together and place them somewhere in the middle of the map, just in case I need one of those colors later. So I've got like a whole junkyard of props grouped together by color. It would be real nice if someone created a mod where you can just select which color that you wanted when you were placing any prop or asset that had color variations. It doesn't seem like it would be a hard thing to do, but then again, I don't know nothing about modding. I'm always amazed when players hit me up asking for technical help with mods or with requesting a mod. I've been playing this game for a long ass time, just about a couple of months after its release, but there are still so many things about the game and the different mods that I don't know. So there I was working on this separate rooftop pool area that I would imagine is maybe the adult pool area that you can relax without having to worry about any kids. I put some minor effort into adding props to the roof of the stores that make up the pedestrian mall. Like, the roof of these buildings are so white that even Donald Trump thinks they are very fine people on both sides of the pedestrian mall. But I thought these buildings were just too blank. It's like whoever created these assets just put entirely zero thought into the roof texture or detail, but we'll give them an A for effort anyway. But that's gonna wrap things up for me for right now. For the remainder of the time lapse, you'll see me putting some more detail into the pedestrian mall, like adding benches and planters and trees. And then you'll see me working on the Harrah Casino, which I talked about earlier. And so I'll catch back up with y'all after that. What's up, y'all? I'm back. You see right here is the version of the LINQ Casino building that I'm at right now. I'm really feeling where it's going and how it's starting to take shape. Right now, I do think the colors are a bit too black and white or gray. So I'm gonna try to add some more color, maybe some shades of blue when I go back and really start working on the textures so that it looks more silverish than just gray. And in looking at it right now, I think a big part of that is the windows. I only have a solid color for the windows right now, so it makes it look kind of dead. Also, the LINQ logo that you see on top of the building, I changed the color of that back to black. This Matt Franco banner or sign here is just a prop. Like what I did with the Oasis. I figured more people would rather use the building without a big ass face on it, and that it could be used for other purposes. So I just made a prop for it. And with the texture size of the prop, it almost has just as big of a file size as some of the buildings. I really like the outside of this building and the way that the facade protrudes in and out. Originally, I had just planned on trying to replicate this effect using textures, which would have been infinitely more difficult. I thought that it would add a ton more triangles, but both of these buildings right now are less than 2,000 triangles. And so I was real pleased with the way that turned out. On this side would be like a restaurant or bar. Again, I'm pretty much done with the model. Just adding and adjusting the textures from this point. This is the LINQ sign, and I spent a good part of my day at work on this. This has got to be one of my favorite props that I've made so far. I decided on going ahead and recording a live portion to show the building, and I'm gonna go back and add some detail to the outside of the building and to the roof of this second building before I record the cinematics. But again, I want to be real limited in the amount of time and detail that I spend because these still are temporary buildings. And although I can just save over the file and the buildings will be updated in game, once I get an updated version, there may be certain details or certain aspects that may change and affect some of the props or details that I placed in game. So that's gonna do it for today's episode. As always, this is the portion of the video where I beg for likes and subscribers and mention all the links in the description. And I hope I will see all of y'all in the next episode.